Welcome all. Steve Parisi here with IBC Global. Hope that your day is off to a great start. So today we have a guest, a true professional, I'm going to call him because he is, Steve Spray. Steve, how's it going?
Man, it's going good. How are you, Steve?
Good. Thumbs up as always. Going nonstop.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, really wanted to say thanks for taking some time. I know you've got a ton going on. Thanks so much for blocking some time out to do this today. And there's a few things I wanted to touch base with you on as far as your experience in working with us, the cash value life insurance policy, what attracted you to it, all that good stuff. But to begin, would like to kind of give everyone an introduction to you because you work for, one of the greatest sales organizations in the world, in my opinion. So if you want to go into a little bit of your background, what do you do for work?
Yeah, so I work with a guy that probably everybody here knows, a guy named Cardone.
Yeah.
And world-renowned speaker, sales trainer, real estate investor. And what I do for his company is I'm actually out there working with organizations who use the sales training that our company provides, and that's what I do. So I'm out there in the field as a salesperson, but really working with companies to make sure that we build their sales teams up. So there's a little bit of a consulting side to it.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll circle back to that because I do have some things I want to talk to you about that, my experience in working with you, because that's how we met.
That's right.
Really, I'm one of your clients. I have been for almost 3 years now. But to begin, a little bit of your story, because the first time I heard it, I liked it a lot. Because today you're 34, correct?
That's right. Yep, 34 years old.
You're 34, and you're in the top 1% of earners in the country.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the thing that I like about that, you don't broadcast that, so I hope you don't mind me mentioning that.
No worries.
A lot of humility there, which I've always appreciated. But when I see you, I mean, you are extremely proficient with your work ethic, how you're so responsive to me, and I see how you're responsive to other individuals. But you were obviously not always in the top 1%. Kind of how you started just in the industry, developed as an individual. I guess you could tell it better than me. What helped you get to where you're at now, especially if you just say, okay, if I started from the beginning, how do I kind of sum it up and what tips would I give to someone else trying to emulate what I do?
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, so I grew up on a farm actually in Indianapolis, Indiana. And, I grew up with that lifestyle, working with my dad on the farm ever since I was 4, 5, 6 years old, and really built in the work ethic there. And, that translated to being able to get into the business world. I got a sales job when I was 21 years old and got into sales for several years. And, I always found myself not doing that well. And I had to start looking at personal development. So that was a big thing for me. And once I got introduced to Grant Cardone's material, I just got so immersed in that material. And that's what really helped elevate me. And then, I came down to work for him. And I think the story that, everybody likes to hear about me, like once they find out, who I am and like where I came from and, how I got to where I'm at. When I moved down to work with Grant, I was transitioning from a place in Indianapolis, Indiana, where, rents are cheap. I was making, just less than the average income earner household in America by a decent amount. I'm making like $30,000, $40,000 a year maybe. And so I'm transitioning from there all the way down to Miami. And if you know anything about Miami, which is what you see here in my background, if I started looking at rents and, and I'm seeing the places that are out there and I'm looking at, I'm coming from paying $400 a month in rent to down here in Miami, like $1,500 a month. Like you're in a place that you literally could be shot. Like that's not a good neighborhood. And that's so like when I came down, like I was broke, like I didn't have any money. And so I was like starting at that level of almost, I was really starting over, even though I came down when I was 26 years old and I was broke. So I found, I think the story that people like to hear the most is when I came down here, I couldn't afford a place to live. And so I borrowed $500 from my grandma. And it actually allowed me to find a place that I could rent a room. Well, I started looking on Craigslist and I ended up getting in contact with some lady that was like, well, that's not going to fit the room that I have available, but you can stay in the back of my furniture store. I own a used furniture store on South Beach. And I'm like, okay, well, let me see, send me pictures, tell me, is it clean? Like, so here I am, 26 years old, moved down, didn't know anybody in the city. I don't speak Spanish. And if you know anything about Miami, they primarily speak Spanish here. And so I get down here and now I live in the back of a furniture store. And I come to work for Grant Cardone, and I really had to hustle to make an income. I was not making a lot. I mean, imagine a commission-based job, and I'm living in this furniture store on a cot for 8 months. I had to sell my car just to make ends meet. Like, that's where, you work a commission-based job, you kind of, give up that guaranteed salary. So that's what I did, so I did that, and I lived like that for 8 months until I started to produce and started making sales and could get myself out of there.
Gotcha. And then just kept snowballing it from there.
It did. Yeah, it did, and that's one thing with personal development, that's something that if you don't stop and you keep developing, like, it should be something that you're always working on. There's not one book that's going to do it. There's not, it's all of them. People are always like, well, what's that one book? Well, look, it's everything. Like, there's connections, books, programs, coaches, so it did keep snowballing.
Yeah, definitely. And on that point with personal development, I talk about that a lot because I enjoy it. I invest a ton there, and I'm just big on communicating things. When we train our agents here, we do role play every morning. And my big thing is to all of the departments that I interact with is, listen, with our business, as it's a little complex, you can take in the knowledge and understand it. And that's great, but it's one thing to understand it, and it's a completely different ball game to effectively communicate it to the individual you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Because
yeah, big time. There's a big difference, and you can see this not only in this industry, but in a lot of industries. You think about, hey, what's the hardest part of anybody's job? And they're usually the experts in their space. So take your space, for example. People have the licenses. They understand the material better than anybody in the world, but they don't know how to sell it to where, the everyday person who's out there not in this industry can actually understand it and see the right value, and that was something you helped me out with, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's huge. And especially in my industry specifically, that happens more than I'll say any other industry, but I'm probably laser focused because I'm in it, as far as individuals not spending a whole lot in personal development, because it's difficult to understand until you've been in it and start investing and see the results. I get it because I've been on both sides. Like, when we first connected, I didn't make decisions as fast as I do now. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just personal development, going for it, and you progress it, and you learn to communicate more effectively as an individual. Every video, people see our videos all the time. There's a lot of times I'll reshoot them several times because it's got to come off smooth. I'm not just going to put junk up there. Like, you can't do that stuff. Yeah.
That's right.
And I can tell on your end, I mean, you communicate exceptionally when we talk and I see your presentations and such. Were you always like that, or did that take some time and a lot of repetition?
That takes time and understanding. It's something that, like, I wasn't born with that. If you can just go back to how I grew up out in the country. I don't know if you know anything about being in the country. I see videos. I know where you live. Yeah, there's like, there wasn't a lot of kids to, so I spent a lot of time with myself or like with my brothers, right? And so, I grew up, like, I played basketball every single day, but it was by myself, so I wasn't somebody who was around learning how to communicate with people. So if you think about it, the average person typically reads less than one sales book in their whole career. And when I found that out, I was literally 5 years into sales, and somebody said, well, how many sales books have you read? And I'm like, well, no, I've been in this business 5 years. And they're like, well, but how many sales books have you read? Do you understand how to actually get a sale, to get people to understand why? And that was something that really hit me. And that was when I really decided to dive in, because what I thought I was doing was operating like a professional because of tenure. I was really operating like an amateur because I wasn't getting results. And, one thing I really want to talk about too is this, especially like in your industry, where the product can get complex on how it works. But think about, when I go buy a car, and I want to know a few things. How does it get me there? How much is it going to cost? what's the benefits of it? How fast does it go? What color can it get? I want it to look good, you know? And you know, when I talked to people before, just throughout this industry, man, they just it's almost like the opposite of that. It would be like going to a car dealership and trying to dive in and have the person tell me all about the little engines and the pistons and things like that. And like, dude, I gotta be honest, like, I just want to go back and forth where I'm going.
Yeah. No, I hear you, and they can kind of transition into the product itself. But no, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that piece I've learned from working with you and the people you've put me in touch with. Because my problem, and I've shared this with you, a big problem, at least that I'm aware of, because there's probably 10 million of them that I have, but one that I know is I get very, very technical sometimes, and I got to tell myself, slow down. That's good when you're working with a technical guy, but you can't do that with everybody. It's going to go over their head. They're going to say, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Get out of here.
Yeah. Some people want the technical side, you know, so that makes a lot of sense, but not everybody. You know, you think about like an engineer, you know, like they're geared to understand how it works. Well, man, most people aren't engineers, you know, so that's 25% of people are operating that way. And the average everyday person, you know, like myself, you know, like your information actually sold me when I was watching your videos. Cause I remember as we were working together, you would send me your videos and I would watch them. We'd be like talking about it. And I was like, oh wow. You know, I started learning more about what you do. And I'm like, I should be doing this.
Yeah.
You know?
Gotcha. So let's get into it then. So the cash value life insurance product, I mean, it's life insurance. So if I just came and told you, hey, I sell life insurance, I'd say you probably run. Most people do. So my question is, what initially attracted you to it, and were you pitched on it in the past?
Yeah, I was. You know, I'd had a lot of people try to pitch me. You know, like I was never willing to sit down and really say, hey, tell me more about that, because I got pitched the life insurance thing. And this product does so many different things. This is why I do love it. But the life insurance, I got to tell you, is not like, I'm 34 years old. You know, so as people were talking to me about it 3 and 4 and 5 years ago, I'm like, I'm not even really thinking about that right now. Like you know, I'm not married. I don't have kids. You know, like now that I'm like, I have a fiance now, we're going to get married next year. Like, some of those things are coming into play, you know, like that's an important, but 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, that was not what I was like ultimately interested in, right? And so although that's the bulk of the product, you know, when you really talked a lot about, hey, you could use this as a bank, because as I started to do better in my career, you know, like you said before, you know, I'm in the top 1% of earners in this country, and I have been actually for over 4 years, you know, so like, yeah, so, you know, I've got 7 figures invested into multifamily real estate. You know, I've got other investments that I do. You know, this is where, like, I am somebody now who is educated on how to go get money. I needed something that I could store money and actually have it produce more and then be able to grab it when I wanted to. And when you explained it to me that simple, it was a no-brainer for me. And I was like, well, hey, how quickly can we do this? Because I'm ready to go right now. You know, like one of the things is I wish I would have done it sooner, you know, so.
Gotcha. Well, you've got an edge. You started sooner than a lot of people do. Yeah, you know, on that point, it is life insurance. However, I'll let you know that 99% of people we work with, the life insurance, it may have some importance, or it comes into the picture later. Kind of like your situation. Same thing happened to me when I first bought it. Was not married. Now I have it. Now I'm married, and I appreciate the fact that I have the life insurance. But the cash value, it's kind of that, call it unknown element, or it's always that aha moment saying, wait, I didn't know that's how a life insurance policy works. If you set it up right, safe, liquid, tax-free, same stuff that we went through, how you can access the capital, all that good stuff. Gotcha. So with your product, you know, we set it up in a specific way. This way you've got a lot of flexibility. You can fund it for different time periods. You're in control. And what I want to bring up here is when you take a life insurance product, typically what comes to mind, even if I take the word life out, insurance policy, insurance product scares people, and we think bill, premium. I pay the same amount every month or every year. And with your product, I mean, that's much different. So with the flexibility features, I mean, I guess if you want to go into that a little bit, if you're comfortable, elaborating, you don't have to go into numbers, but the flexibility features and things that attracted you to it that maybe you didn't necessarily know about or were presented in the past.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind talking about it because, this is where, so for me, I invest a lot into multifamily real estate. That's what I primarily do. That's I do sales and I take the majority of my money and I park it into real estate. But I always had this thing where, I'm so illiquid with that. I can't, when I put my money in there, I will not see that money again. Other than the cash flow from it, I won't see that money again for another 10 years. And so, although I do prefer this type of investing, and that's just what I value, this is where I have most of my money. This is what I see a lot of long-term value in. That's great. I can't go get that. And so I always had that one issue. And, this is where when you started asking the questions, well, how much additional money do you think you could add and, really store away for other investments or things that you want to do? Because that's actually one of the biggest things. Like when I work with Grant Cardone. I listen to Grant Cardone, every single thing that he does. And he talks a lot about stay broke, not be broke. Be broke and stay broke are two different things. Stay broke is, look, learn how to produce and make money and then put it into investments and then go back out and start working and keep repeating that until you can get enough flow and net worth going that, you start to build up a good thing. Well, I always had this issue where I'm going all the way in. I would put all my money in 100%. I would go down. I literally would have, I would write checks for 6-figure checks. And I would have that in my bank account, write the check, and it would take me all the way down to $500 in my bank account. It was like starting over. Well, I never had that piece set aside. So I have people come to me like, hey, I got this investment. Well, I would never be able to do it. Right. I'd never be, because I never had that extra money set aside. Well, you asked me well, how much money could you set aside? And I started to think about it. I'm like, well, I could probably for sure, I got to I started thinking, this is where I started to work myself into it and kind of see what I wanted to do. I'm like, I could probably start doing $1,000 a month. And then I'm like, wait, actually, you know what? Once I started looking at the product, I'm like, I actually want to do more than that. And I started asking the questions like, hey, can I do more than that? Am I obligated to more? What? And when you started to work it out, you're saying, hey, you could set you up for, your $10,000 per year. And if you have the flexibility, if you have a good month, if you have some bonus money, if you run into something, you can add it in as you go, because that's the way you set my policy up. And which allows me to go up to $100,000 per year, which I'm excited about because I can store that money that's also liquid where I could go get it and borrow it at any time.
Yeah, and that's right there. I mean, you're taking a life insurance product, which, again, insurance bill scares people, and turning it really into a flexible savings asset. And the interesting piece, and this attracts a lot of individuals kind of with that aha moment, typically it's everyone wants to know what some of the ultra wealthy do and what banks and corporations. And my background was setting these things up for banks and corporations, so it gave me kind of that insight before I learned how to talk about it when I connected with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but seeing what banks and corporations do, they put just gobs of money in here. I mean, it's billions upon billions of dollars, and they're interested in it. Yeah, the death benefit has a play with their executives and salary continuation plans, all that good stuff, but it's the cash value. It's an asset in their balance sheet. You can access it, use it as collateral, all that good stuff. So really, it's the exact same thing in your situation. Hey, let me commit to a minimal amount so it doesn't feel like a bill or a burden. And then when things go well, I can plow the cash in, and it's always available to me as well.
Yeah, and I'm always putting more money in there. Every single month I'm like, I'm trying to figure hey, how much more money can I put in there? Because I see the value in it, and when we really look at, okay, well, what are the banks giving you today? When our parents grew up, the banks would give them, 8-10%. Well, today they give you 0.0012%, and that it would take, if you put money into a bank today, it would take you 830 years to double your money. So it didn't take me that long to do the math on this, where when you started to talk to me about, the cash value and it growing and being able to build and me being able to get additional percentages, that was a no-brainer to me. So that just made sense to say, dude, that's just where I put all my excess cash. I'm adding it in there. So that way it's it's growing, it's doing something, because if not, if it's in a bank, it's dying.
Yeah, 100% with you. No, thanks for sharing details on that. Much appreciated. I'm sure individuals listening will be interested in that as well. So let's transition a little bit, because I do want to talk about your business and how you've helped us in a huge way. I mean, when I first met you, we were doing decent. We had finally converted what used to be a garage into commercial office space, and it was growing a little less than double each year. I was happy, had some part-time help. But my story, I mean, I had reached out to your office, Grant specifically, wanted one-on-one coaching, knew nothing else about any of his products, saw some of his coaching calls on YouTube. I'm like, all right, I'll reach out to him, try to reach out to someone else first, actually, but they didn't get back. So I'm like, all right, reached out to Grant. He got back, and here's at his level, high-level executive, goes nonstop within minutes. I remember I was at the car dealership getting my car serviced. Steve, I wanted personal coaching. Steve would be happy to help. Personal coaching starts at an amount much lower than what it is today, because it was years ago.
Yeah. No, I remember it. You got in there on an awesome deal.
Yeah, but talk to him. Great conversation. Still apply what I had gone through in that conversation with him today. But what impressed me the most about it, and how we attempt to engage with everyone that calls our office today, is right after that call, during it, he talked about Cardone U, and more or less he told me I've got to learn to make decisions faster, or start making decisions faster, but he said it nicely. Yeah, but within 60 seconds, I got a call from the office, and it was you. Went through a demo on Cardone University, and you asked me a question that I really liked. I hesitated at the moment, but now we use it, and you can repeat that if you want. I had to do it, seen enough to make a decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but excellent question. Yeah, and I hear it, and I still remember that, because I was sitting in the conference room like, I really have. Let's give it a shot. I should just do it.
That's one of those. This just on this one thing right here, actually. Let's take like your industry for example. You've got you could, like, we could talk about the product for days, right? And we could talk about all the different angles and the things we could work on it. And what people end up doing is they don't understand sales. They understand their product, but they don't understand sales. So they don't know, they can't tell when the customer is actually ready to go, ready to get started. And so they talk themselves out of sales, because they end up confusing them way down the line, and somebody was already set up to go and ready to get started, So asking that question, hey, have you seen enough to make a decision, is a great way to find out, hey, are you ready to go? Or like, do I need to keep going?
Yeah, beautiful question. Because my thing is, I guess when I had looked at some of Grant's videos before knowing him and getting to know you guys, I was more anti-sales, like, I'm not pushy. It wasn't my personality, and we still don't do that. But it was a completely different experience, because that question is not pushy one bit. It's like, have you seen enough to make a decision? What can I get you more information on? Let's continue to progress through it. So, I mean, it's a great experience. I felt comfortable with it, and I still do. I mean, we've gotten comfortable communicating with individuals in a similar manner. But there's a lot of aspects or services that you've offered to our company that has helped us grow. I mean, we can talk about the follow-up, the culture, the personal development. Any questions you had for me on that before I just start rambling off? I love the follow-up tool, all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, there's so many good things, right? And so that's why the way our program works is you install it into a business to train each individual, and then we work along with you side by side, so we can really kind of tailor it to your situations, right? And so what were you guys doing before you got with us?
Yeah, so we did, it was February 2018 when I had that coaching call, and the year prior, we did 380,000 in gross revenue. That's what we earned as a company.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, what you want to share or not, like just about your success, like where you at now? Because I know you guys have jumped quite a bit. Yeah,
certainly. So we hit in 1 month what we did that year, this year already. Well, it was 5K awesome. Short of that. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and not every month hits that, but it's getting closer and closer with the averages. We've got certain targets. But to put it in perspective, what we did pre-working with your companies for a year, and I was happy about it. We had I believe it was 5 part-time employees, right? So now revenues spiked. 1 month we hit that. And what I do 100% with all of the income that comes in is just plowed right back into the company. So we're at 25, I think we're at 26 employees right now, trying to get to 35 to 40 by the end of the year. The goal is 50. The demand's so high, like the activity coming in, we can't, I hate saying this and it kills me, we can't keep up with it fast enough. I remember texting you the one day about that.
Yeah, no, I know. I remember you said, "Hey, what do I do in this situation? Got a lot going on." So
yeah,
that's awesome, and I love what you're doing. Like you're getting out there doing things that other people aren't in the industry. And look, you bring in people like me, people that should be doing this product, people who should be investing in your company, but nobody's actually broke it down to them in a way, and not even break it down, just like make it simple, like simply. Let me know like what the benefits are and why because you understood me and what was important for me and how this would actually work. That was one of the great things about the process. Like you actually gave me multiple different options. And what was funny was right when I reached out to you, you sent me, you said, "Hey, here's this is what it should look like for you." And then I'm like, okay. And like, you laid it out real easy. And I'm still like asking questions. You're like, well, hey, let me drop a couple different ideas. You gave me all the other ideas. And then we ended up back on the very first thing that you sent me just because you understood how to build this out for me.
Yeah, and the three options, I learned that 100% from you, where if someone's interested in a certain option, show them that option, exactly what they want to see, but then show them a lower end option, paying in less, and also a higher end option. And the thing is, with this, you can be flexible and kind of create it however you want, which is really nice. But it's just the means of seeing options. This way you prevent buyer's remorse. You see everything up front. It's full transparency. People end up appreciating it more. It's extremely effective. I like it, and I like when people use it on me as well because, okay, I see everything up front, and then I don't say, oh, man, I didn't see that after the fact, and I got to start all over or do something else.
Yeah, well, people need options. That's one thing that we talk about in our sales training. And look, they're going to do options with or without you. They need to shop with options. So if you want to try to land somebody on something, look, show it to them. But set some parameters. Say, hey, look, here's what you would do if you save some more money. Here's what you would do if you invested more money. Like, this is the benefits. These are the pros and the cons. So that way, see, buyer's remorse happens because people are still uncertain about the product. But if you can lay that out and make it easy for people to look at all the different options, now I see these and I'm like, this is definitely the one. So you almost eliminate buyer's remorse just by doing that.
Yeah. And, on that point too, and this comes from collaboration, like with a guy like you or people that you surround yourself with, Grant, right? Because I had one-on-one coaching with him, but I've been down to your office and at events, had interaction with him as well. And, regardless of what the price is, whether it's $1 or it's $1 million, it's like, who cares? And I don't mean to say who cares, it's just money. It's more so the interaction and what you learn from individuals that have been through the war, call it that way, like they've engaged with individuals. Like I've shared with you our training program and you've helped me, you've critiqued it, you've given me some feedback, and then also that client user package.
Yeah. You got a beautiful program, by the way. Like that's like, you just set it up perfectly right. So for anybody to come in and basically get all the information they need, not just about the products, but like how to present them, how to actually help more people get into this product. So that's what I loved about that. That's why I'm so excited that you're actually doing that.
Yeah, and that was 100% just ideas from talking with you, working with your office, seeing what worked extremely effective. Yes, I mean your office and the team you lead, extremely polished, sharp on the phone. I was talking to my client relations department today, just as we hire new people, like, hey, role play is important here as we engage with customers. This way we're sharp and on our game. And I share with them when I'm down at Grant's office, they go through that role play. And what's so valuable about that is it's not done today. So many people just throw me in, I'll go talk to them, tell them how it works. It's like, you got to practice it so it comes out fluently.
Yeah. So there's a few things that we do, and like that. So when we put that Cardone University program in and people train daily every single day, like the thing with training is it actually shapes your mindset, like there's so much negativity in the world today. There's so much, negative things going on, bad things, then all of a sudden you got car wrecks and people and fights and things like that. And like, man, it's just all around you. Like you need something to help develop you into the right mindset of, knowing what to do, like when customers get frustrated, like they don't want to do the deal, or they think that, hey, this isn't for me, I don't freak out or even start blaming it on the customers, like, or blame it on the product and say, you know what, look, people aren't buying this. People don't want this product. No, it's my job to be able to communicate that the right way. And without personal development, without training, without that daily role play, oh my gosh, you're just
huge.
guessing.
Yeah, it's huge, and it gives you the ultimate edge because individuals that I've talked to or heard it say, so and so about Grant's company and such. I'm like, dude, like I work with them, and they're as professional as can be. And that's a whole nother topic, like competitors that just badmouth. But it's like
it's people always talk bad about the ones at the top, and
good point.
Like anybody comes into our organization, and like we have so many businesses that we work with. Like I personally consult companies that do $600 million a year, been in business longer than I've been alive, and here I am in there working with their executives, the people who know it better than anybody. And they're paying us a lot of money, and I'm really talking to them a lot about like what Grant Cardone has developed. And when any of these people walk into our company, they walk in there and they say, wow, that's different. You guys are pros. I've never heard anybody say anything less than that. They have always been like, I think we have a 100% closing rate when we bring people to our office, because it's interesting that they get to see it. They're like, wow, like it is different here. Like your people are on point. Like not only are your salespeople on point, like your service people, the shipping team, the accounting team, like your whole company gets it right. How do you do this? And so these are the processes that we help install into other businesses.
It's practice. Yeah, no, you guys do a phenomenal job. I mean, you've helped our business, which is a small business, especially relative to who you work with, but you can do it for any business. And that's if it's somebody on their own, they've got two people, whatever it might be. Now, I've seen that in action, several case studies when I've been down to your office. One last thing I want to touch on. You mentioned something earlier, and this will fit into what you do and then also your experience in working with us, where you were pitched on the whole life insurance, the cash value life insurance in the past, and you mentioned that you're not willing to sit down or weren't willing to sit down at the time. And how I view that, like the big thing that always pops in my mind, like in our mission statement, it's making cash value life insurance convenient and transparent to everyone. Industry, right, with our coaching business and consumers. So transparency, that's where we've got all the stuff you see, the videos, and we constantly build that. But on the convenience side, I guess especially for guys our age, like if you try and book a meeting with me and you want to sit down for an hour meeting, an hour call, it's like, I don't really have the time, man. Even if it's got to be something really, really exciting, or I've got to be interested in it, but to try and get someone interested in life insurance, especially when you haven't been exposed to it, it's like, dude, I got too much stuff to do. It's
the last thing I want to go to.
Seriously.
You want me to sit down and talk about my death benefits? Like that's, and I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, I'm late 20s, I'm 30, I'm early 30. I'm like, man, I got 70 years left. Like I don't even want to think about that right now, right? So I'm going to push that off as far as I can, and that's where like you do a really good job, of just understanding like why the person would benefit from it. And so you spoke to that to me. That's what made me like jump on.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. And then the convenience factor, like how I look at it, because you're based out of Florida, right? I'm up in farmland too, where I live, Poconos, PA.
Yeah.
Yeah, but working with individuals, we work nationwide just like you. How I look at it, especially when you're working with anyone really, whether they are a high income earner or not, people do not have time today, and it's all about convenience. Look at Amazon. They crush it, and they make everything so stinking convenient. Same with Apple.
Yeah.
I mean, you go buy a new phone, how much work do you have to do to set the thing up?
Yeah, exactly. And people are willing to pay. They want to pay more. Like they want to pay more for the convenience. They pay more for Uber Eats. They pay more for that. They pay more for everything. So what people don't have, people lack time.
Yeah.
And so when you're trying to set an appointment, and you're like, hey, when can I sit down with an hour for you? Hey, when can I get about an hour and a half of your time with you and your spouse? You will never get that time.
No. So how I view it, and this again came just in interaction with you guys, the marketing team at your office and such, where I viewed it, okay, I can try and pin Steve down for a meeting, even if it's 15 to 30 minutes, it's still an investment of time and mental energy where you've got to be laser focused. Questions are going to be asked. Like, I got other stuff on my mind. Or how I look at it is, okay, how do I get a demonstration in his hand? We've got generic ones. He wants to see an example. Like, I could send you those illustrations that are like trying to stereo instructions. Go ahead.
Yeah, you did that, man. And so, the first thing that you did actually, like you did something that I do a lot, and it works really well. Like, and I don't know if you meant to do this because we work together when I help your company, but you were sending me things and you were like, hey man, let me know what you think about this, And so here I am, like looking at it from like my viewpoint of like, okay, I want to make sure he gets everything right, but I'm like listening to what you're saying. I'm like, wait a minute, I should be doing this, And so,
Gotcha.
Yeah. Then, and so that was good. You can do that. But then when it did come time where, I said, hey, I heard you talking about this in your video. Is this true? Is that, how does that work? And you said, no problem. Let me send you all the information. You plugged me in with what it looked like on a piece of paper. You plugged me in with a walkthrough, a little 6-minute video that was like a walkthrough of like why I would benefit from it. That was great.
Yeah, the convenience factor. So, we implemented that as far as rather than pin them down for a meeting, you got to send them the data, but sometimes the data is complex and you need that explanation is how I view it, at least today, just where technology's at. So creating call it a personalized recording where, hey, here's what it would be if we sat down for 10 or 15 minutes and you can watch it and then come back with questions. But yeah, as far as showing you when I first connected with you, hey, let me know your thoughts on that. That honestly was not an attempt to try and pitch you. I was curious to say, hey, I'm trying to model you guys and see what works here.
No,
what are you?
I didn't think it was. I was just telling you that, like, that's actually a good strategy. Like, I'll reach out to people all the time, like, hey, we got this new event coming up. You think we're gonna sell anything with this? Like, I'll reach out to, you know what I mean? And like, I would want to buy one of those. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, let's get you. So
Gotcha.
Which is no. So I knew that you were, and we did talk about best ways to position that. But I just wanted to let you know, man, it was a good strategy.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't even think of it. Maybe we should start implementing that more. I didn't even cross my mind. Right on. Right on. Well, really, really appreciate your time. Anything you wanted to add or ask me just about our experience with you and such?
Yeah, if you guys are watching this video right now or listening to the podcast, reach out to Steve to say, hey, look, tell him a little bit about what you do, and I know that he'll be able to say, hey, here's how you would benefit from this, and so. Same thing with me. If you liked what you heard today and you want to get some training for your business, you can always reach out to me you can follow me anywhere at Steve Spray or Steve at grantcardone.com. Anywhere you want to connect with me, I'd be happy to help.
Definitely. We've got your info on the contact information below, so they can certainly reach out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, man. So, what are some cool stories? Like, what are some things that you know about this product that maybe not everybody would know? Reasons why they do it.
Yeah, certainly. So, you've got the safety, liquidity, tax-free benefit. What attracts a lot of people is the idea or the feature that once a dollar passes through a life insurance policy, regardless if you just let that dollar sit and grow and earn between 4 and 5% of the net yield tax-free, or if I pull the money out, I continue to receive compounding on my entire bucket of cash as if I never touched it in the first place. How the company, how that's done is they collateralize the death benefit. There's a loan interest factor, a lot like borrowing against real estate if hypothetically it continued to appreciate over time. So that intrigues people quite a bit, and that's more of a pitch. As far as a story, one of the things I heard, and this is when I was designing policies for corporations, there was an owner of a construction company, and he had like 9 policies that he had accumulated over time, paying into them for 30 years, and looking at policies for his executives now, what they're trying to do. And he kind of sits back, and I wasn't in this meeting, the owner was, because I was the back office guy designing them. And he goes, when I look at these whole life products, I've had them for 30 years now. And aside from the ownership in my business, I've got my stocks, bonds, everything else. This has been my best performing asset. Because
awesome.
no matter what's happened, like 2008, any kind of crash, just keeps going up. Things go very, very well, it goes up. Things don't go so well, it goes up. So hearing that from someone who was extremely well-to-do, he was about 65 at the time, and this was several years ago, that had that life experience, and then he actually showed us his policies, and they performed as we analyzed them and such. But that story, it kind of hit me in a way when I was younger or earlier in my career. I'm like, that's interesting to hear it from someone who does really well, and he's saying this is his best asset based off actual time history, not just hypothetical, here's what it might do.
Yeah. Well, it's like, that's the thing. Like, people, I think today, that you go online and you got stories of everything. People trying to sell you like, hey, do this, create this online business, put your money in this stock, do that, and I think it was good old Warren Buffett. He said, first rule of investing, never lose money. And like, for me, like, I just live by that, so I don't like, that was one of the first things for me that I was like, okay, I put money in there and I can go to sleep at night, and I don't have to worry about what it's doing or what's happening. And then also, like, look, the trade-offs, like the ability to grab it when I needed it, like, man, that's huge for me, so if I need to go buy something or like, put an investment down, like, a lot of people talk about, I'm saving for a rainy day. Well, like, that's not me. Like, I'm not saving for a rainy day. I'm saving for the day that I wake up, I step to the home plate and the bases are loaded and I'm getting ready to crush it.
Like, right on.
and I can't do that if I haven't been storing money, So like, for me, like, it was so attractive to say, you know what, like, I want to have this available when I'm ready to make a big play.
Yeah. I love that. I remember when things kind of got a little rocky in March and April, people are getting laid off, market's tanking. I'm reaching out to you, I'm like, hey man, like, this is it. Like, we can lean into it.
Yeah.
And I was saying that to you and other people to build my confidence to actually do it, because I was scared to death. I'm like, man, if we lean into it, because I hear, like, Grant did it in 2008. Apple did it in 2009. They had one of their best years. Amazon just did it. Like, companies, that's like the time when everybody else goes back on defense, go for it. I'm like,
go for it.
Just tell everybody you're going to do it and force yourself to do it.
Yeah.
That's what I did. But it's worked extremely well thus far, just when I look at everything. But yeah, step up to the plate and hit it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And, so like, for us, that same thing what you're talking about, like, we leaned all the way in, like, we had to adjust a few things, and so that's the cool thing, it's, you got to always go in. So yeah, I love that. And, I know you're going to have one of the biggest years, and you keep growing. And, and I think it's really important too. I think there were some important things too that you had mentioned at the beginning here where, you're doing well now. And I think about personal development. I just think about people that invest in themselves. They're people who are not selfish. Okay. The ones who don't are very selfish because they're only thinking about themselves, where you are thinking about, dude, how do I grow? How do I build this out? How do I make more money so I can add more employees? Like, you said you guys have 35 employees now?
A little over 25 or 26. I'm trying to hit 35, 40 because we have to by the end of the year to keep up with the growth. Yeah.
Well, man, that's awesome. Especially in a time now where people are, there's some uncertainty. There's job shifting. Some people have been losing jobs, things like that. Like, being able to be a business owner that provides for other people is, like, very unselfish, man. I just want to acknowledge you for that, because that's awesome.
Yeah, no, thanks. I really appreciate that. The personal development stuff, I mean, I can share stories, phone calls and, like, presentations here, and we can end with this because we've been going on and on, is as far as presenting and public speaking, I enjoy it to an extent now. I still get nervous, but I mean, you overcome it once you get going. You do it so many times. But one of the most embarrassing things in my life, and people hear this and think, wait, like, no way, because the amount of presentations I give now is, remember, I had a presentation in college, 10 minutes into it, I'm nervous, just freeze, bomb, sit down. In the middle, everybody's looking at me like, this guy's like, he must be a loser or something like that.
That's awesome.
Thanks. I wouldn't call it awesome at the time. Now I look back, it's like, okay, the purpose, the reason I share that is with personal development. It's like, hey, a lot of people see individuals like you. I look at you and say, man, he is smooth when he talks. He knows everything in and out, and he's always listening and helping the individual. Like that doesn't happen overnight. What's it like? 1 to 3% of people have that naturally. It doesn't exist.
Yeah,
so
you got to learn that.
Practice,
Yeah.
and that's all it is. Overcome the fears, the difficulties, and you can do a lot. And your program specifically, I mean, I worked on that as much as I could before I met you guys, and enhanced it since I've connected. But your program helps with that kind of stuff. Word tracks. Here's what to say. Practice this, right? Maybe it's just a word track for 12 seconds of what to say on the phone when you fumble, but that builds so much confidence. So you come off smooth.
Totally, and it gives you a place to go. It gives you certainty. So like what we would do with a company, and like what we did with yours, is we work with staff members. So if you're out there, if you've got like if you've got a business with more than 2, 3, 4 people, 10, 20, I mean, we all the way up to thousands of people. We actually install training that people are doing digitally, and then we actually work with them, on specific scripts, and we do role plays and things like that. So just that little bit, man, makes a big difference. I can't tell you like how many times. I've been on calls, especially like early on when I would practice, drill, and role play some of these things I was learning from Grant Cardone. And then I would be into a deal and somebody would say something and I would know just really how to navigate the conversation, which is really what you want to do, because at the end of the day, you can actually help them. And if you can help them, then you should. And if you can put them in a better situation, you should be able to sell your product in a way that you can get them there, because there's so much uncertainty. The last thing that you need to be is also uncertain about how to get them to a close. And when I really started to work on that, man, I'm helping so many more people, like a lot more success stories like yours, like, guys like you who come in and they're like, hey, I want to get better in these areas of my business. And all of a sudden, look, here they are.
Yeah, right on. And no, I love it. I mean, the question that you ask every single time, because I've heard you do it, when you engage with someone new, isn't going into the product. It's what can I get you information on? And you answer the direct questions first, go into more information on the areas needed, but what can I get you information on, rather than sit there and talk about something for an hour and address it at the end. Like, get to the point. People are busy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's how I start my presentations, and I
love
bring them onto the call. I'm talking to them and I say, hey, hey, before we get started here, what's going to be the most important thing you want to learn from today's call? And all of a sudden I hear them start talking about all the things that they want. And then I dig a little bit deeper into that, about why, how, what, why that now, like where are you at in your life now with that? And then I can present to that, which usually ends up getting me closer to a sale. And that way I don't have to like try to grind somebody out on a close if I just actually solve their problem to begin with.
That's all. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, keep it up, man. No, I love what you guys are doing, and you're sincere, always trying to help people, and the service is phenomenal. I mean, you get back to me. I don't know how you do it sometimes, because I can't do that with everyone we work with, but
yeah,
keep it up.
Yeah, no, man, thank you to you. Like, you guys' service is amazing. You guys are all over it. Anytime I have a question, it's, I can text, call, email, and not just with you, like your staff is awesome. So, some of the girls that work with you mentioned they pop in and say hello and say what's going on. So I really appreciate that. So thanks a lot for having me on. And guys, if you want to reach out to me, check in the notes, and I'd be more than happy to connect with you.
Right on. Thanks so much, Steve. Appreciate your time.
You got it. Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye. Hey guys, Steve Parisi here. If you enjoyed the content you just saw, please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell for future videos. If you'd like more information or to see some custom policies for yourself, feel free to call or email our offices at the contact information below.